When you got the letter, how was that for you?
Shocking.
Was it?
Absolutely shocking. I honestly I think I just kind of sat there for a second, and I think the first thing I did was call my grandma, and I was like, "Gigi, guess what happened?" And I told her, like, they
Yeah.
actually care. Someone's actually caring.
Did you know that children of the incarcerated are 5 times more likely to go into prison? What can break that cycle? Education. Percy Pitzer, who identified that we need to break the cycle of incarceration with the children, so he established the Pitzer Family Education Foundation. And this foundation is designed to provide scholarships specifically written for kids of the incarcerated. Today, we have a great conversation. Not only do we have Mr. Pitzer on, we have Peggy Kaiser of the Correctional Education Association. We also have Bella Colsson, and Bella is a student in college right now who received a scholarship. And we're going to find out firsthand from Bella how that changed her life. So as we go to get in this conversation, please do me a favor. Please hit that like. Please hit that subscribe. I want to thank you for being here. So let's get in this conversation and find out about the Pitzer Family Education Foundation. Well, hey, everybody, we're back, and we are so fortunate today. We have some very, very great guests with us. First, let me introduce you to Percy Pitzer, who is the founder of Creative Corrections, LLC. We also have Peggy Kaiser, Executive Director of Corrections Education Association. How are you, ma'am?
I'm good, thank you. Thank you for having me.
Thank you. And a special guest we have is Bella Colsson. How are you, Bella?
I'm good.
Mr. Pitzer, would you like to go ahead and explain what got us all here today?
This really isn't about Creative Corrections LLC. The importance of Creative Corrections is it has been a successful business, and without the financial backing of the company, Pitzer Family Education Foundation would not exist. And our sole purpose of the foundation is to help those individuals getting out of prison with training and job placement, and also the children of incarcerated parents, providing them opportunities to further their education to a 4-year college degree, a community college, or a trade school. And children of incarcerated parents are 5 times more likely to follow in their parents' footsteps. So it's important to get them on the right track and education, because education is cheaper than incarceration. Now, what's interesting, our biggest donors to the foundation actually is inmates. They have, over the years, they have donated a little over $252,000 to the foundation, which means that those that are incarcerated still care about their children and not wanting them to follow in their parents' footsteps, in their footsteps. So, I mean, that's a big deal. And we have about 16 states that are on board with us. Some, for whatever reason they have, don't get involved with us, which I think is a mistake. And maybe we'll get better as time goes on. But, because a person is in prison doesn't make them a bad person. It means that they screwed up, they got caught, and they ended up in prison. For 15 years, we've had a difficult time getting communities to partnership with us, because they get the impression that, and I truly believe this, that when they send a person to prison, they've gotten rid of the problem. But in reality, the problem just began, because that same person's coming back to that same community, and now the community don't want to hire them and they don't want to rent to them. So it's actually a revolving door back to prison. And we need to pay attention to this, because, one of the problems is the lengthy sentences that we're providing. And that started in probably 1994 with the new crime bill that came out. And what happened then is we got tough on crime versus smart on crime. And I believe people that break the law need to be held accountable. I believe Bella's mother needs to be held accountable for the crime she committed. However, her mother's got a 22-year sentence for conspiracy with drugs. And my question is, 22 years appropriate? Could they have accomplished the same goal by giving her 10 years? And looking, and this is my estimate, the cost of her incarceration for 22 years, and she'll probably do 18 or 19 years, is between $800,000 and $1 million. Now multiply that for those with the lengthy sentences. I mean, it's a tremendous cost to the community. And I personally believe that you can lock a person up to the point where it has a reverse effect on what incarceration is supposed to accomplish. Now, there is probably about 5% of the 1.9 million inmates that are incarcerated that should never see freedom again because they're so violent, so vicious, and they're where they need to be. But 95% of the inmate population is going to return to the community. So we have to start using common sense. And in today's society, I'm not sure common sense is all that common. And I think we definitely need prison reform because we're locking people up for probably longer than necessary. And like I said, I think these lengthy sentences are defeating the purpose of incarceration because incarceration is designed to correct a behavior. And in Bella's mother's case, and I have not read her PSI, but I'm just going on assumptions from my 29 years working in prisons. Does that make sense? Would 10 years been just as good? And maybe even if President Trump considered commuting some of these sentences, because you can't keep giving these lengthy sentences and still adding people to the population, because you're going to run out of space. And when we're overpopulated and understaffed, that creates incidents. So, and that's kind of where I'm coming from. And I'm very blessed to partner with Correctional Education Association because we have the same goals. And they do a lot in reentry, and we're working together we do reentry, but we're also working together to prevent incarceration. Because again, it's cheaper to educate than it is to incarcerate.
Our organization is made up of 8 regions, and within those regions are states. And so I live in the state of Wisconsin, and Wisconsin had a Corrections Education Association state conference. And from there, we also attend the American Correction Association conferences. And in Wisconsin, it was the Wisconsin Correction Association conference that was being held. CEA Wisconsin had a membership table at that conference, and just so happened that Percy went up and introduced himself to the person that was working the membership table, found out a little bit more about our organization, and then reached out to me, and we had a meeting and talked about partnering because we did have the same goals. Our organization is made up of members who support education in correctional setting. Our members are not only teachers, but administrators or people who just support corrections in general. So it makes a lot of sense for us to partner with a foundation that wants to provide scholarships for children of incarcerated or formerly incarcerated individuals to try and stop that cycle. It makes the most sense. We're all about education. Why would we not want to partner with a foundation that is going to support the children of those individuals who are incarcerated? I worked in 4 different prisons in the state of Wisconsin, and I was a teacher, and I saw the benefits of education in a correctional setting. How can the benefits of offering opportunities to their children not be something we want to support as well? We need to support the students, the children of the incarcerated parents, so that their futures are successful, that they're successful as they move forward.
What captivated me about the Pitzer Family Education Foundation was the fact that they're looking beyond that fence line and they're seeing the children there. And they're going to make sure if they can do what they can to get a scholarship, which is something that they might see out of reach. Is that how it came about, Mr. Pitzer? How'd you get that focus on the children?
Well, from working the system, from being a warden in 5 separate institutions, I could walk through the visiting room and almost pick out who our next client would be with those children. And in the direction we're going to continue going in the same direction that we have went in. However, we're going to change a little. We're going to add to it with Correctional Education Association. we're going to start visiting high schools because they are the future of America. They're going to replace us. And we believe if we educate the high schools, especially the seniors, and Peggy and I were at a high school in Wisconsin last week, and we presented to the students, and they all thought it made sense with what we was doing, is educating the seniors who are getting out, who are going to be the leaders of America, and let them educate their parents, let them educate the community, and we think we'll get a lot further because my foundation has been very unsuccessful in educating the community.
Mhm.
And I explained why that is. But, we got to make a turn. We got to make a difference. We got to have prison reform. We got to reduce the population. We got to reduce the number of the 2.7 million children out there who are dealing with parental incarceration. We got to keep them from following in many of their parents' footsteps, and you know get them educated. And I think graduating seniors that can communicate to their own community is a big part of the answer, because many times, families suffer more than the person incarcerated because
Yeah.
they have to learn how to survive uh, without their parents. The families are out here trying to figure out how to support the family without the other half. And it's a serious situation. It's a situation we got to pay attention to, because if we don't, it's not going to get any better.
We're lucky because we have Bella Colsson. Bella, how are you?
I'm doing good. How are you?
It's an honor to have you on here because you're a success story. And when Mr. Pitzer was talking about future leaders, I could definitely tell that you're going to be one of our future leaders. Would you mind letting us know about your decision to go to college and what you were doing, the steps you were taking to get to college, and how you became aware of the Pitzer Family Education Foundation?
My mom was arrested in 2016 for a nonviolent drug crime, and she got a 22-year sentence. And I think I was 8 or 9 when that happened. So basically, my whole time in school, I've, been without her. Um, Definitely college is something that I had always aspired for and was always that next step that seemed a little bit out of my reach, something that I thought maybe wasn't possible for me, or something that I felt like I unfortunately maybe wouldn't be able to accomplish, or that if I was able to make it there, I might not be able to finish or be strong enough to continue. Um my junior and senior year of high school is when I got very serious about college. I was looking, trying to find opportunities and scholarships, because as you get older, you realize that money is actually a real thing. And if you go to a really expensive college, that you're gonna literally pay for that for a very, very large portion of your life.
Mhm.
And so that's something that you have to be committed to and that you have to be confident about. I was never drawn to go to a big college with thousands and thousands of people. That really never interested me. It seemed very overwhelming. So I had looked at smaller colleges in my area, and even at that, it still seemed a little bit impossible. But I tried to apply for scholarships, and I wrote so many papers. I did so much writing, so much research. Um, and unfortunately, I never really received anything. And even when I would look to apply, nothing was made for me. I had gone to high school with so many kids with so many great opportunities. So looking at all of the scholarships, it just seemed like nothing was really made for me personally, because it was so specific. There was really nothing I could find that was 18-year-old girl whose mother is incarcerated. It was kids from out of the country, and it was made for people at my school who were international, and I didn't have any guides at school to help me. Um, there was nothing for I couldn't find anything for, an American child who needed help because of, you know, their their mother's choices. And uh so it was hard. I spent a lot of time applying, and I didn't receive anything. And I came home one day and I was so discouraged. And I sat down with my grandma and I was just crying. And I was like, we need to do something. I need to go to college. And she helped me. And the next day, she emailed me when I was in school, and she told me to look at Mr. Pitzer's foundation and to apply, and I did, and it really was such a blessing and dream come true, and to be able to receive something so amazing, to be able to go to school.
When you read the scholarship criteria with the Pitzer Family Education Foundation, what was it that really grabbed you? What about that?
Honestly, it was, just the compassion behind the whole most of the time, whenever you're talking to someone or you're hearing people talk about incarcerated individuals, it's such a hard concept to grasp, the reality and the weight of the situation. And most of the time I feel like people who are, uneducated or inexperienced and haven't really lived in those circumstances, it's so easy for them to write them off, people in prison. And I feel like the blanket idea or concept is, well, they made choices and they deserve to be in jail. And I feel like it kind of stops there. Um, and like Mr. Pitzer said earlier, just because a person goes to prison, they're not the only one that's serving a sentence. Like was talking to you about,
Yeah,
um, when my mom went to jail, she's serving her time in prison, but me and my whole entire family, we are serving a sentence. We're just able to live freely.
yeah,
Um, and so what really grabbed me about the foundation was that Mr. Pitzer was not, allowing the consequences or like the baggage I had to carry my whole life for choices that I didn't make. He was able to relieve me of that and give me hope, that I wasn't defined by something I can't control. Like, that's hard to, I've really felt that way my whole life,
yeah.
especially because of my circumstances. But definitely the compassion and just the
Hmm.
helpfulness. It's very, very interesting, and I love that about it.
So how was that? You applied for the scholarship. You're waiting to hear back, and when you got the letter, how was that for you?
Shocking.
Was it?
Absolutely shocking. I feel like because I had applied for so many things and I never even heard anything back. It's when you apply for a scholarship, they don't tell you you're not accepted. You just don't hear anything back. And so it was just always like silence, from the other line. I felt like I was annoying everyone,
Yeah.
sending emails, doing all this stuff, apply, apply, apply. And so when I received that letter, I think I just kind of sat there for a second. And I think the first thing I did was call my grandma and I was like, Gigi, guess what happened? And I told her, like, they
Yeah,
actually care. Someone's actually caring.
that's right. Somebody does care. You know what they care about? They care about a person like you who's working so hard to improve themselves, improve their life, and that's who they care about. So, what would you tell juniors and seniors who are coming up? What would you tell them about the situation that they may be in that's similar to yours and the Pitzer Family Education Foundation?
Yeah, you absolutely can. You are not defined by your circumstances, and Mr. Pitzer is here to help. He's always there to help. If you think you're too young to start, you definitely aren't. Um, I think I was a little bit late to the game even. I think I might
Yeah.
have got my application like either right at the deadline or maybe a little bit either right before or right after somewhere. I was very near the end. It's never too early to start, even if you just start by writing a one-page paper about your experience and how it would help you. That way, you get your ideas on paper and you can look at your feelings and what you're thinking. That's really helped me to put my experience into words. And I think that has also helped me when with applying for scholarships and things like that. So definitely you can do it, and you should definitely consider and apply.
Great. I want to say thank you to you for your strength and courage to come on here and tell your story, and also to inspire others to be like you, and to and you just put that dream in the air, and you hope that it gets caught, and you hope that that letter arrives, and you're going to be able to take that college opportunity. I'm so proud of you. Why don't you tell us what it is that you're studying for? What are you going for right now?
I'm currently at Weatherford College, and I'm studying for cardiovascular sonography.
I can't even spell it.
I
I
But
don't
can't.
know
I'm
if I
doing
can either. I'm just
it. So very proud of you. So very proud of you. So thank you so much for sharing your story. Um,
Thank you so much for having me.
Let me
yeah.
add one thing, and that is Bella is very fortunate that she has a grandmother that really cares and has been by her side all this time. I've talked to her grandmother several times, and she's an amazing lady. And despite the circumstances, she never gave up on Bella, and Bella never gave up on herself. And it's important that we get high schools involved with the foundation because they are the answer. And I think with our foundation and Peg's foundation association, rather, we can make that happen. You know, the interesting thing, Peg and I spoke at a high school in Wisconsin last week, I guess, and it was a small high school. But following our presentations, I don't know, 8 or so students came up and talked to us, very positive. And 2 of them come up and ask if they could get a scholarship because their parents were incarcerated. And, if 2 out of 50 came up, what if the whole Sky School in a small town in Wisconsin, how many of those have parents incarcerated and have no direction on which way they're going? I mean, the only way we can fix this situation is getting them involved, letting them do the education for us to keep these folks, young people, from going to prison. So I congratulate you and your grandmother for caring so much about you.
Director Kaiser, what message do you have for high school students and high schools who may be considering, helping out and supporting the foundation or applying for the scholarships the foundation gives?
Well, myself and members of our organization have worked with adults in correctional settings, and we see the positive things that come out of it, leaving the institutions with a skill, with education, having an opportunity to go right into a job. And so for these young people, having an opportunity to receive a scholarship can give them the same fresh look on education. I agree with what Bella said. There is that stigma out there that once people are incarcerated, they made a mistake, they should stay there, throw away the key. A lot of people in the community aren't even aware that there's education in our correctional settings. And so, as Percy said, we need to educate the students and the community on top of that. But I would just tell these students that here's an opportunity. We're not going to throw that opportunity away. We want to see these young people thrive and get their education, move on to a career that is very positive and can plan for their future. So I've seen the positive things that the parents who are incarcerated are given those opportunities. Our organization wants to make sure that these young people have an opportunity through these scholarships as well. And as I said earlier, what better foundation to join than the Pitzer Family Education Foundation, because our organization is all about educating and making positive choices for the future.
Thank you, ma'am. And it's very important that we get these communities to understand, the importance of all this, because the person is behind, they're doing their time, they're in a facility, but the children are there. And if we're ever going to break this cycle, it's going to have to be broken there. And
Correct.
that's what this is all about. And this is giving people like Bella, who wanted to continue her education, that opportunity, because that letter arrived and that joy in her heart hit, because now she knows she's going to be able to go to college and she's going to continue on with something I can't even stop. But so proud of you, Bella. Mr. Pitzer, do you have any other comments you want to make sure we get on the podcast?
Well, no, I think Bella's and many like her are the future of America. We're on our way out and they're on their way in, and they can make a difference in our communities, in our country. You know, one thing, I had a program in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, very briefly, and it was a partnership with Milwaukee Area Technical College. And we actually graduated 24 students and got their, and they went to school every day and got their actual high school diploma. We had to stop the program because of COVID. But the students we had coming here to our foundation, to the class, some of them were sleeping in vacant cars. Some of them were sleeping in vacant houses. And they'd come to school with no food. And we purchased breakfast plates for them when they come to school. But my point is, this is America. Why is this happening? Why are we not talking about it? I mean, and if we don't talk about these situations, we can't fix it. But we remain silent. And children like Bella and 2.7 million other kids are experiencing the same situation. And we got to talk about it. We got to make a difference. Because like I said, her mother's going to cost about $800 to $1 million to incarcerate her for the length of her sentence. And we already spend, which I think is an underestimate, $90 billion a year in incarceration. And I would guess it's probably closer to 150 billion, but let's just stick with the 90 billion. How much can we reduce that cost? How much difference can we make in people's lives? I mean, it's there's got to be reform. There's got to be common sense.
Absolutely.
And
yes, sir.
Bella, I appreciate you for telling your story. And Peggy, I am so excited that we were able to start a partnership. And we will develop additional partnerships because they are an outstanding organization, and them partnershiping work one way or another. It is going to work. So
I just wanted to say thank you all for having me on the podcast, and thank you for making my dreams come true with college.
Well, I definitely want to do a follow-up with you. So if you don't mind, from time to time, I might bug you so you can give me an update on what's going on with you and how well you're coming along with your degree. And so that way we can continue to let everybody know what a great job you're doing.
Yes, sir. Anytime.
Well, thank you. On behalf of Corrections Unfiltered, I want to say thank you for everybody being here. We are going to put the links to not only to the Pitzer Family Education Foundation, but also to the Corrections Education Association, so you can make donations. And it's very important. Donate, but also communicate the mission, communicate the goal with the community, because we need the community involved. So once again, thank you so much for Corrections Unfiltered.
thank you all.
Bella, thank you.